My name is Wawa or Ovana Yara, and currently everything is begging for me. Okay, I think I'm back to normal. And we have an incredible guest today, but before we dive into it, I just want to share my screen and let you know a couple of things. So the first one is that I curated my first ever digital art collection. You can find it just by finding me on Twitter, Yara, and then you can also see the first, and you can explore this collection. It's a really good one. It features a lot of native coding and in general technology, and I hope you there is that you can also, by doing so, you just have to go to our profile. Wow, okay, I really don't know what is happening today with the box, but you can just support our show by going to our profile on Twitter, which is Omakase Show, and you can click this button with cash and send your donations in Ethereum, which is highly, highly appreciated. And today we have an incredible artist whom I've been following for like ages, and then we met at NFC Lisbon, and I came and I said like, are you that he was apparently not, but we kind of picked it all together. So I have here Odyssey of the Heart, an incredible artist, incredible recognizable art, and then also a big supporter of LGBTQIA community, who also founded a community louder. And so hi, it's a big pleasure to have you here. Like honestly, thank you so much for joining me. And
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here today with you. Thank you for inviting me.
oh, sorry. Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I could not hear you.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm back. Can you hear me well right now?
Yes, now I can hear you. Not really. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's good. Okay, let's pick it up where we left off. So I guess I just started with a question about how you got into the space and in general, what do you do?
So I got into the space actually in March, around March, April 2021. And I was actually very lucky because, I started off as being an artist on Instagram. I was posting about my collage. I was doing basically one collage every day on Instagram, and I was posting about it. And this friend of mine came into my DMs, and he was like, "Have you heard of NFTs?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what NFTs are. Please explain." Um, and he was super nice to me because he told me like, "Oh, I think your art would fit this sort of situation that is happening right now with digital art." And so he introduced me actually to a few of his friends, and I entered this Discord server, which was like heaven because it was basically a Discord server of only artists, all artists that were at the time into NFTs. And the best part was that it was already like a community of people supporting each other and onboarding each other, all made by artists. And I think that also that is the reason why I was scared to enter this world, but not that much because there were so many artists supporting me. Like one of the best thing about this Discord server was that there was this part of it in which you had basically an how-to-do list of all the things you have to do to create your first NFT, buy your crypto, and all these sort of things. So I mean, it was just beautiful, and also. I've been an artist basically all my life. Since I was a kid, I've always been creative in very different ways. Um, and and I've explored many different mediums by paintings. You can see behind my back, photography, ceramic, poetry, a lot of things. Um, and into in during the pandemic period, I was basically closed at the house all day every day, of course, like everyone. I just graduated as an architect and urban designer from Politecnico in Milan, and I was looking for a job. But right after I graduate, like from one day to another, like suddenly I didn't had any outcome anymore because I had like merge all that energy, creative energy, into my studies as an architect. And when that disappeared because I graduated, I was like sort of lost. I was looking for a new way to explore my creativity. And so I started by making some collage, as I was saying, and posting them on Instagram. I had nothing like I was doing for myself, honestly. I didn't share that with anyone in my life. Like, not even my closest friends knew I was posting um, collages on Instagram and doing it every day. So
So
I
you had
I
like
never thought
separate,
before of
this
that
was like a
time.
separate profile, not your like original profile. W- You had like another.
Yeah, I created
Oh,
another. Yes.
wow.
I was like Anna Montana, I had a double life.
Wow. Was it back then, was it called Odyssey of the Heart or something else?
No, it was right away Odyssey of the Art. I called it right away that way.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, this is a really interesting story, to be fair. Like, okay, I actually like that's so stupid, but I will share. I always had this idea I will do one separate profile without telling anybody, and I will do something on it. I have a lot of different things, but I never ended up doing it. But wow, you did it. This is so impressive. And I will also share my screen, and hopefully I won't disappear again. So I just want to share your art in order to ask you this question about what is the word Odyssey? I think it means a lot in your narrative, in your work. So can you just explain, please, what does it mean to you in general?
Yes, I mean, Odyssey, it comes from the Homer's Odyssey, the journey, the last longing journey of Ulysses to coming back home after the War of Troy. And I've always been obsessed with mythology and literature, and when I was approaching this new personality or persona of me, like with this profile on Instagram and posting my art, I was looking to for something meaningful in a way, because I was putting my art into what I was doing, and I had also the freedom of, you know, nobody knew it was me, in a way, the freedom that not having a clear identity gives you on in the era of the internet. um and so I had this idea. I remember it was one evening. I was talking with a friend of mine in the kitchen, and I was like, yes, I'm being very obsessed about the idea of the journey of life lately, and how we are all sort of lost and wandering through the opportunity and like experience we do in life, looking for a meaning and craving for something that gives us the opportunity to fully become ourselves and like fulfill our full potential. And from that conversation, actually, the idea of calling myself Odyssey came from, because the Odyssey is basically the journey of life in my mind. And then I felt like something was missing, so that I could not call myself Odyssey only. And so I added of the heart, because I think that the journey I wanted to do with the art I create is a journey I want to do with an open art and embracing all kind of emotions and without limitation in a way.
Wow. And so you have this absolutely dreamy world that is your art is truly recognizable. Like I personally can see a bunch of artworks and I can tell which one is yours. And so what I'm really curious to understand what is your creative process? How do you create this absolutely beautiful, colorful, dreamy words?
Yeah, I mean, my creative process always starts from some idea I have, like sort of a vision. It's like lucid dreams, but I'm awake. So it's like I have a vision of something, of this dreamy world, and I want to put it out there. And so basically, usually I start by sketching. I do a lot of sketching, which you might not think of it if you look at my final pieces. Um, but I always start, yeah, like this. I always start by drawing shapes, forms, elements that then build, like, put all together, may create a space. Lots of times, actually, I also start with writing. I write a lot, and sometimes like an idea comes to my mind, and then I write it down, like in form of poem or just a phrase, and then I transform that into a sketch or just a easy visual, sometimes even done with AI nowadays, or photographs. I always intersect so many different mediums while I'm creating, per se, a 3D artwork, like the one we're seeing now. I might create a 3D art, but like in the process of making it, I'm actually exploring so many other things. Sometimes I also photograph myself to study the poses of my sculptures and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a very chaotic process in a way, but I feel that it is sort of a chaos that in the end it's the only way for myself to bring it into to be that finished, peaceful, serene, dreamy landscape I had in mind to begin with.
I love it. I just love it. It is also giving me kind of this 2000 aesthetic, which I love because I was a kid in 2000. I was born in 2003, and this is how I imagined all the Barbie fairy tales, all like all these beautiful things. And when I saw your art, it reminded me of all of this, but then also in a way where the quality is good, because if I go back to the cartoons I was watching in my childhood, the quality of the image is not good enough. But then here, it's like I'm in it once again. And this is why I also want to check on colors. I obviously see you as this like kind of purple violet combination, also like pinky, but then all pastel. But sometimes you also use red, which is quite aggressive color, but in your way it still looks incredibly nice and soft. So I decided to ask about color palettes and how you work with colors in general.
Yeah, I mean, colors are such a fundamental part for my creative process. I think that through time, I found my own colors palette. Let's say when I was starting off, I was exploring with many and different colors. And then now that I think that my aesthetic is more clear, more polished, I've actually landed to something that is more similar. There are always these sort of lilac tones, blue tones, gray, light blue, like green blue, all these sort of tones that I actually sort of generate this palette by the idea of finding colors that suit me, that they were giving me a sense of peaceful and made me feel serene when I was looking at them. um, I also have a sort of like paradigm for colors in my aesthetic. Let's say yellow that you see behind me is for my art and my expression the color of loss. It's the color of nostalgia. And so I use yellow when I want to give that sort of sentiment. And blue instead is a very positive color, is a color of joy, is a color of deepness, is a color of discovering themselves. And so I always have this sort of like main um, reasons why I use specific colors for a specific piece, but then I also like to mix it up and make it more chaotic sometimes. um, but yeah, I love colors. Lately I've been using also red a lot, and I really like to combine red with blue now, because I always like I do this a lot. I like to combine two colors mostly, and then maybe add a few more, but just having two main colors and then shades of those colors, to give a very like clear contrast also.
And then you also have a lot of glowing elements, like in here you have the moon that is glowing, or sometimes even like the silhouette, and it's like really beautiful. It works really nicely.
Thank you.
And so I got curious about the architectural background that you also kind of mentioned before. And for this, let me just share this part of your feed on IG, because I think this is the project, if I'm correct, it was called something um, on like starting with M. You have a project that is kind of like quite
Maria, yes.
exactly. This is the one. It is quite architectural. Architectural. Can you tell us more about this one and in general how this architectural background played a role in your work and creative process?
Yes, of course. I mean, Maria is a collection I did a couple of years ago. It was the first collection I actually did combined AI generated images with 3D. So these pieces are all a combination of a 3D space I've made in Cinema 4D with architecture and images I've created using Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and other AI generative programs. And my idea for this specific collection was to create a sort of a visual that made the idea of having these sort of treasures coming out of the sea, like these long lasting architectures that are coming out as their treasures, because marea in Italian means the tide. So the idea was like the tide of the sea like retreats, and it shows the treasures underneath the sea. And so these were for me were like all basically treasures of the sea that appeared. I don't know, during a full moon, or not the full moon, but like, um, and in general, the idea of using architecture elements, it's very rooted into my practice, honestly, because studying architecture was such an intense experience, personally, but also just by the quantity of hours I had to spend into and invest into learning this practice. And so it became something so important in the definition of my person still nowadays, I think. And it also became a symbol. Architecture for me, and
Mhm. Okay, we just have to wait a little bit for the Odyssey to rejoin. So I guess this is the kind of the price we pay. We switch to another platform for streaming, and this platform is really nice. I enjoy it a lot, and the quality recording that you are viewing is much better than the ones that we have. And so basically, it takes a lot of kind of internet speed to make this streaming happen. That's why sometimes either I am of the studio or the speaker itself. But I still believe like it is a reasonable cost to pay for the end result that we are getting from the streams. And so let's just wait for the Odyssey to rejoin.
can you hear
Okay, okay, we are good. We are back.
me? Where did we left off?
You stopped at the moment where you shared that architecture, like studying for architecture to be an architect was a tough experience and it shaped you a lot. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you are always kind of integrating these geometrical architectural forms into your work.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is pretty much it.
Okay. I can continue.
Mm, And so I wanted actually to check on this piece that is right here. This one,
Yes.
no, not this one, the reddish one. I believe this one, yeah, this one. It's like the Louise Bourgeois, sculptures with the spiders.
Yes.
Was it, was this an inspiration?
Yes, it was indeed. I was exactly inspired by that artwork.
Okay, okay, good.
I
I'm
love
glad.
Louis Bourgeois, so yeah.
She is incredible. I'm afraid of spiders like as hell. I'm like terrified. This is my biggest phobia ever. But this works, like these sculptures are incredible. I love them too. So I wanted to also talk about you founded a community which is called Love is Louder, the community that supports LGBTQIA plus community. And if I'm correct, this one is also quite centered around artists, like supporting the artists that are part of this group. Can you tell us more about this journey and why you found it necessary to create
Mm.
this environment to support artists that are going through this and are trying to communicate it to the world?
Yes, when I joined the space in 2021 and I was, being myself. And so as a queer person, I was, I had nothing to hide. So by being myself this freely on the internet, unfortunately, I did call some attention on me that were not pleasant. Also, some collectors actually that collected my art, and then when they discover I was part of the LGBTQI plus community, they decided to burn my piece or sell it for lowering the price of it, which was not very nice. And they also blocked me, and all sort of stuff has been happening through the years. And so I always thought that I wanted to create a space for people that are part of my community within the NFT space, for them to feel safe and feel like they were valued and listened, and that they could share their experience, because probably I was seeking for such space myself. And so I was like, why can I just make it myself and ask around and see if somebody else wants to join. And so it started off actually as a project with the open metaverse, um, from 65 to 9. And we made this district in the open metaverse with on cyber galleries of queer artists, and everybody had their own gallery designed by themselves. And then they were all grouped into this district's building. So it all started off like that. But mostly was basically, and still is, a group chat in which we share our drops, we share our experience, we talk. We just talk about things that are in our minds, and we want to share the latest news, or and it was such a powerful experience for me going through this, because I had to face lots of my insecurities too. Um, Going through this process, but it was so rewarding. In 2023, we had an exhibition. I curated this exhibition at Nympha in Milan, and it was incredible. Also, three artists that were curating the exhibition were present at the opening. So yeah, we have been doing also a drop on foundation when foundation worlds were a thing. So yeah, we've been trying to build something, and most of all, sort of create a movement of being together. Like, A couple of days ago, Fercajano and Hugo Faz and the philosopher had the opening of an exhibition at Casa Nua in São Paulo that Fercajano curated with Hugo Faz. And I was one of the artists involved. The team was Post Pride. And it was such a beautiful thing to see that lots of the artists involved were artists of Love is Louder and this community. And so seeing that, we are still here, we are still together, and we are still trying to do something all together, to continue to be seen in a way, on our term also, because that's very important.
I'm truly sorry that you actually had this experience. It is shocking for me. I kind of didn't perhaps just because I'm not like surrounded by people who would act in this way, it is shocking. But
Mhm.
then again, I think what you are doing and the space you've created for other people who might be going just through the same, it's like super powerful. And that's why I decided to jump into the fact that if maybe somebody is watching this and they belong and they are queer and they're artists or they're kind of somebody in the space, what is the way for them to join your community if there is such way to do it?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, of course, you can just text me. My DMs are always open for everyone. Like, we are an ongoing community, so we accept, honestly, anyone who wants to join us in this. And hopefully, there will be more things coming also in the next year. So, who knows?
the This part of like of your career journey is incredible, and thank you so much for sharing it. And wow, this made me feel like really good. And so in general, I wanted to ask for your, so if a non-binary person is watching this webinar, what would you say to them? How would you address them? I don't know at which stage of their life they are, but basically, if you could say anything, what would you do?
I would say just be yourself. Like, don't listen to the noise. You are the only one who can define who you are. Take your time, take all the time you need. There is no pressure in understanding yourself. It's a journey that probably you will go through also during the entirety of your life. And because we are not ever still, we are always changing. As I was saying at the beginning, we are in a journey of life. We are all in our Odyssey. So we are all keep changing and exploring ourselves. So try to connect with yourself in the most genuine way. And I know it's not easy, and I know it might be very difficult from um, lots of external things happening and judgment and the society in which we are all in, and also within the political climate everywhere in the world. I understand it's not easy, but stick to it. Stick to be yourself, because I think that ultimately will be very rewarding to have actually explore all the shades and sides of yourself and be connected with parts of yourself that you might not even know that were there. So yeah, this is what I would say.
Wow, it's like it feels like some aspirational speech from a movie. I don't know how you managed to do it. It's like you had it somewhere written previously before. Well, to be fair, it's really beautiful narrative that you're trying to push out there in the world, and thank you so much for this. I think a lot of people will find a lot of meaning in what you just said, and thanks. So, I want to ask you like the final question about what are you working on right now
Mhm.
and what projects we kind of have to expect to see you doing in the nearest future.
So I've actually been working on different things at the same time. As I said before, I'm very chaotic. And through 2024 and 2025, I've been exploring a lot with poetry. I actually wrote two entire poetry collection, and they are unpublished. Nobody has seen them. I only see them. I read them and read them over and over again.
I really want to
But
joke you made a separate IG account and didn't tell anybody about it. And you're just uploading them there.
yeah, because that's what I do. But yeah, and actually was very like going through that process of writing about queer, because I wrote a lot about my life experience, which was not always very easy also from my childhood. And I decided to put it all into poetry as also a form of therapy in a way. And it did wonders for me. And coming out of that collection, of those collection of poetry, there is actually a specific poetry I had in mind that unleash a lot of creativity in me. And so now I'm actually working on a big collection, let's say, of 3D artworks. There will be 12 pieces in total. Uh, and all the theme for these artworks are taken from this poetry collection about my trauma, my childhood, and my life experience overall. And I'm very excited about this, honestly. I'm working very slowly because I don't want to rush into the process of creating this. I want this to be also something a bit different from what I did before. I'm studying to work with 3D animation more and stuff like that. So that is one thing I'm doing. And on the other side, I've been focusing on physical art. I've been back to painting. So I've been painting a lot lately. And also ceramic, mostly ceramic. I've been doing a lot of ceramics. And I have one thing here to show, like this. This is a ceramic piece I made.
Wow, it's so yours. Is this a fish or a mermaid? I think it's a kind of
It's a
like,
mermaid.
I love it. It's so yours. It's like truly,
Thank you.
it's like a part of your work. Wow.
Yes, so now I've been exploring with ceramics. Also, I've been doing some work with resin. So I will probably be dropping something physical very soon. We will see. I'm in the process of creating prototypes and exploring this part of my inspiration. I generally always go with the flow. If I feel that something is something I want to try to pursue my artistic self, I generally just do it. I do not get closed into boxes of like, oh, I'm a 3D artist, I should do just 3D. No.
That makes a lot of sense, and you do have a lot of mediums you're kind of using right now, like both sculpture, painting, digital works, which is incredible. And well, I want to thank you so much for finding time to join me today and share your experience. I believe we should definitely stay in touch, and you can keep us posted on everything that you're dropping and working on right now. I have like a really pleasant feeling in my like body in general after talking to you. I don't know how you managed it, but you have a like radiating beautiful energy around yourself. And I just want to thank you so much once again for coming and for spending this time with me.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been such a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you very much. You're like one of the kindest person I've met in the space. Thank you.
Thanks. Likewise, thank you.